Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Business First Creatives. My real life bestie, Kate Hyde, is back on the podcast today. If you missed her first episode, it was amazing. It was episode 101, and we talked all about what your website really needs. And in this episode, we are really going to pivot to something that both of us, dare I say, are absolutely obsessed with at the moment, and that is AI. Kate,
Yes.
hello. Welcome back to the
Hi.
podcast. I
Thanks
love
for
you.
having me. Love you too.
So, guys, we have nothing planned. We were literally on, I think it was Voxer. We were on Voxer recently, and she was building AI tools. I was building AI tools. And I was like, let's have a podcast episode about it. So that is why she is here. So, Kate, why don't you just say a little bit about how you got into first using AI in your own business, and then perhaps why you are now pivoting to actually use them for your clients and also build tools.
Yeah, I was a pretty early adopter with AI, though I will say like Rich started playing with it first, my husband, and was writing stories for the kids in the voice of Elmo for but in angry Elmo. I don't know. It was funny. And I was like, what is the use case for this for me? But I have found so many use cases for it, from writing things to creating images to editing videos. I use it in my podcast and YouTube editor to script a lot. There's so many different ways that I use AI now beyond just having it write things for me. And then in using it for my clients, I created my first custom GPT to help my clients write their website copy, because I could see that my clients could answer all of these questions, and then there could be a way to turn that into formatted frameworks that would easily make that process so much less stressful of writing their copy. So basically my clients answer a bunch of questions, including um, market research questions, like who their competitors are, things like that. And then my tool takes that and turns it into website copy, and you can kind of talk back and forth with it and edit it. And it's such a cool thing. So that was my very first tool. I've made more tools since then, and my clients love that. That one is such a big hit with my students in Brand Basecamp, my website program. So yeah, it's been fun playing with them.
So I was a very late adopter, everyone, just so that you know. I just want to very quickly say that I've had a couple people on the podcast talking about AI tools before, particularly for photographers. And we usually go the route of this is what AI can do for you in your editing. And so Kate and I are just not going to bother with that because, first of all, I mean, I guess she uses it in her photography business, but I don't. And so I think that we're kind of getting beyond that. But I first had an inkling of a tool, and it wasn't going to be AI driven. I have a lot of workflow recipes, as I like to call them. And I just thought that there was a better way where if people answered questions, I could kind of use logic in order to get their workflows done. And then when I heard Kate talking about GPTs, I was like, I could just make ChatGPT do it. And so I did that. And I love that tool and it's amazing. And then I got absolutely obsessed with making more and more and more. And I feel like once you get the hang of it, it seems so overwhelming to make yourself a tool. But like now, I'm not only using them for my students, like I recently created myself a brand new tool where it will take the strategy calls that I have with my clients that last anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, and it summarizes it. It gives me the action plan. It gives me the tasks that I assign them, the tasks that I said I would do, the assets that needed to be produced. And just today, I realized that every time I have a question in my head and I'm like, oh, I should go reread the transcript, I'm just asking my GPT that question and it goes and finds the answer. Like I wrote an email for my client this morning and then I fed it into that tool and I said, okay, can you go back and compare exactly what we said we would add in this email on the strategy call and make sure I didn't miss anything? And it basically showed it to me as a checklist. Nope, you did this. Nope, you did this. I might suggest that you change this line. And I was just like, I'm in love with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm married, but I would marry one of my tools if I could.
It just makes it so much easier to see things that you could easily miss otherwise. So it's a big helper for me.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got these tools. and you're making them, and now you're making more of them. So what's the first thing that someone has to do when they're thinking of making an AI tool first for their own business? And I know that a lot of people would be like, oh, I want it to write for me. And yes, you can get ChatGPT to write for you. You can make it sound better and like you. But like beyond having that, what is it that you think about when you are like, ooh, this is my idea for a new tool. Let me run out and make it.
Yeah, if I'm making a tool for myself to use, it's typically something that I'm doing over and over again. So I like if I have a prompt that I'm using over and over again, I will turn that into just a custom GPT. I have a prompt for like writing subject lines and preview text for emails. And that is always a task that just like, ugh, like I don't enjoy doing it and it bogs me down, slows me down. So I made a GPT that takes the like set of rules that I have for preview text and subject lines, put it into the GPT, and then I can just feed it my email and it gives me 10 suggestions of headlines or of subject lines and the preview text. And I can mix and match and talk back and forth to it. So usually it's something like that where there's like something that I'm doing over and over again that's weighing me down.
Mm-hmm.
And how can I make that better? The tool that I'm currently making is like, this is like beyond. I'm building an app basically that takes all of my emails from kit.com and pulls them into an Airtable database so that I can better track things, analytics, and all of that stuff. Because there's not really a way to easily like take all of that data and pull it somewhere else. So I'm building it.
Yeah, and you sent me the link and I downloaded it and I was immediately like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Is it going to continue to pull my data in? What else can I do with it?" And you were like, "Okay, hold on. That was just step 1. There are going to be more steps." But before we like go towards that app, because I thought that app was totally cool, and it was like it was just one thing that a question that you have, and I was literally saying a week ago, and I'm pretty sure I didn't say it to you, I said it to someone else, how difficult it is to track things in Kit. I was actually thinking of switching to Drip because I am tired of not being able to see like what my open rates are and stuff for one particular sequence. Like it just drives me insane that they have all of this data on my emails and I have no way to like get at it. It drives me
Yeah.
insane. But you mentioned rules, and I want to come back to this because I think that's what I find hardest. And I think it's what you find easiest. So I just want to kind of like pick your brain for a second. So you said that you created a tool that helped you write subject lines and preview text. But how did you determine what those rules should be, or what the format was, or what the idea was in order to create subject lines that you like? Because to me, I'm just like, talk like me. And that's not enough of a rule or a framework to get
Right.
ChatGPT to do it for me. So how do you come up with rules?
Yeah. So for subject lines and preview text specifically, like it doesn't really need to sound so much like you. It needs to sound catchy. It needs to be something that's going to get somebody to open the email. So what I did in that instance was went into a tool called Perplexity, which is a search engine that's AI powered as well. And I asked it to find best practices for subject lines and email text. And I looked through them, compiled them into one list and fed that to my tool. So it's a way that you can do like that deeper research and combine knowledge and expertise from many different people into one thing and then turn it into a tool.
Yeah, I do feel the need to say, although Kate and I are talking about Chat GPTs, that is not the only AI tool. There is Claude, there is Perplexity, there are all of these other tools, and some of them do some tasks better than others. Like you said, research. Perplexity is much better at research than ChatGPT is. But so you asked it for best practices and it gave you this list. And when you plugged in, like you said that you went through them and you kind of chose them. But when you fed that into ChatGPT, what did you think of the first set of subject lines and preview text that it gave you?
It's honestly pretty good because of the way that the rules are written. Like it's giving me, I'm asking for different types of subject lines in preview text. Like there's so many different ways that you can make a subject line compelling. It can be like a one word subject line. I can do one that's a question, one that's an open loop, one that is like mysterious or whatever. So like having those different types of subject lines within my set of rules and within what I like researched helped with that. So I get really a good variety of things. And then back to like the voice part of it, it's pulling the subject line from the body of my email. So it
Mhm.
knows how I talk and what I'm talking about in that email. And so it is in my voice technically there too.
But so you didn't have to do any additional like iterations or changes to the rules or, yeah, see, she's so much better at this than me, guys. I feel like my strength when I'm creating my GPTs is when it gives me something, I am adamant about basically telling it what it did wrong. And then it's always better and better. But I think that I'm not starting out in the same like amazing place that Kate is. Maybe because she's been playing with it longer. I don't know.
Well, and I usually go into it like with a pretty good outcome idea. Like you have to have a goal for what you want from it to get that outcome and kind of like what the steps are that it needs to get there. I have some that it took me a long time to like my copywriting one. That's a big GPT. Like it writes your whole website copy. It's basing it off of my frameworks and my templates, sets of rules that I've given it for how to write. So that one definitely took me a lot longer to tweak and refine, but like the subject line one, pretty easy. I have one that's for like repurposing content, and that took me a couple of tweaks to make sure that I was getting enough from it
Mhm.
because it could just like, here's how you make this an Instagram post, but I wanted it to be more. I wanted it to look at the content that I was feeding it from different perspectives, from how could we like zoom in on this topic or zoom out on this topic? How could we look at it from the perspective of this buyer type versus that buyer type? So just like refining as you go is definitely a big piece of it.
Yes, and I am so excited. Courtney Fanning is going to be on the podcast in a few weeks talking about buyer personas. And I'm literally just, I'm so interested because as I start like tweaking my sales pages and doing all of these things, I am now much more aware than I think I've ever been that when you are writing copy, whether it is a podcast script or an email or a website page, you really have to think outside of yourself. Like you have your, how you like to buy and what information you think you should communicate. But then on the back end of that, not everyone is like you. And so you do have to take that into consideration that it is more about the person that you're talking to than you. And so I think that that's a perfect example of how these GPTs can help you like consider all of the options and then you can choose one that like helps you the most.
Yeah. Well, and being able to also like as an educator, look at it from the perspective of someone who's brand new to this versus like you're coming into something that you're teaching and you have background knowledge that the people you're teaching don't have. So like being able to say, okay, here's my lesson. Where are my people who are brand new going to get lost? Or like what words do I need to change that will help them understand? And same like even for a photographer, like if you're putting in a piece of, or like you're writing a caption or writing a sales page or writing an email and you're using words that your people aren't using, you're going to lose them. So you can pop those into GPTs and say like, think about my ideal client and what's not going to make sense to them here.
And I don't know that I've actually thought about this in terms of making a GPT to write your copy for you, but I just got back from Creative Educators Conference and I was there with our friend Maddie Pashong. And she said this really weird thing and it's kind of stuck in my head. And now I'm realizing it. This is what I need to do to my GPT. She said that when she was writing emails now, she realized that she was in a much different headspace than her students, which I mean, we all agree when you're an educator, you're steps ahead of your students. But she said that, it was really eye opening to go back and read emails that she had written when she was greener because it put her back in the mindset of what it was like in the beginning of her starting branding photography. And so I'm just now thinking like I should go back through all of the blog posts, all of the emails that I wrote when I first was introduced to CRMs and first started teaching them. Because the way that I think about them then is not how I think about it now, but that language might help me identify ways that I should speak to my current audience who might be in the beginning stages of using systems and CRMs like I was all those years ago.
Yeah. And honestly, I would probably just scrape them from like I use a tool. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like pulls all of the text off of a web page and puts it in a text document. It's just a plugin from Chrome. And I would take that and scrape those blog posts and feed them into a GPT and say, these are the ones I wrote when I was new. Here's what I wrote now. where are things different, and help me
Mm-hmm.
analyze that.
Analyze. Yes. Help me analyze it. Okay, let's talk about your tool now that you made, because I was interested in using this particular software or this application. I don't know which one's the proper one to use, but I was interested. And then you sent it to me and I got even more motivated. So tell me about the process of making this new tool that is taking all of your Kit emails and basically putting them in a format to where you can put them in Airtable.
Yeah, so it's evolved a little since I've sent you the first version. That one was like really just pulling stuff from Kit and putting it into a CSV file, and then you could upload that into your Airtable. Now I've moved on, and I'm actually building the app within Kit, so within the Kit marketplace. I never could have coded. Like, I don't know how to code. That's not anything I've
That's not
ever
your
done.
gift.
No, like, I mean, I get some of the language with it, but like, I don't want to spend all my time learning that. So the tool that I'm using to build the app is called Lovable, and it's really like a chat. Like, I tell it I want to do this, how do I do it? And it builds it for me. I do go back and forth with ChatGPT or Claude. Things are having problems, and get more information, because sometimes like one tool gets limited in its thinking and you have to expand it to other tools to get more ideas. But really, it's a conversation of like, here's what I want, here's the steps that I need to happen, and how do we make it work? And it will ask me questions, I'll give it more information, and it just keeps going, and it's testing and iterating.
I don't think I ever thought that I would talk that much to AI. Like, I feel like recently, I feel like I wake up every morning and as I'm building tools and as I'm creating new things, I mean, I spend like 2 hours going back and forth with my AI versus having a conversation with you on Voxer.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty productive, but I mean, like, wow.
Well, and like, I like, this is totally not tool related, but like, I if I'm listening to a podcast or some kind of like audio training and I get great ideas for it, I will go into my chat GPT and like use the audio, like record voice memo
Mhm.
function, and just like spew all of my ideas and have it format them into a list for me, and help me figure out which ones are more actionable, which ones make sense for me. And then I've got the other ones there for when I'm ready to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that it's the coolest thing that I did, but it's the last thing I mentioned on the podcast. I recently had an episode come out where I was obsessed with Jen Green's framework for freebies, mini, medium, and large, and I basically took that original podcast, fed it in, had it grab her framework, and then analyze all of my freebies to help me figure out where I had gaps. And then the second thing that I did, I mean, even 2 days later, was I took the email freebie that I was obsessed with changing. And I was like, you know what? I think I even want to make this more actionable for people. So I created a whole 3-day challenge, which is going to be live soon. And I iterated a mini course to finally teach people how to write emails that sound like you for your client experience. So I never would have gotten as far as I did if I hadn't been in line at Costco going back and forth with the Chat GPT app as I stood there and waited. Like, okay, no, I'm thinking about this. Okay, no, you got that wrong. I mean, just, I love having conversations with AI now.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does help me like brainstorm and get out of my own head.
Okay, so you mentioned that that was a tool that you were building in Lovable, and now you're going to put it in like the Kit marketplace. Like, Kate, how the fuck do you do that?
It's telling me how, and ChatGPT is helping me too. And like, some of it is still confusing, but I will like find documentation on Kit's website and use that text scraper to pull it into another tool or whatever to like get more detail, or like find things that I think might help Lovable figure it out or
Mhm.
whatever. So that's been that process. There are other ways that you can build tools though, like, that are way less complicated. For example, I have one that builds a like marketing field guide for you. So
Mhm.
you basically, again, answer a bunch of questions about your business, and it will then take that form from
And it's an
Airtable. So
Airtable form. Mhm.
it's an Airtable form. And then I'm using this program called Make that takes that form and pulls all of the fields into a prompt that then is fed to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT feeds it, or the tool feeds it from ChatGPT back to Airtable. And then in Airtable, I have automations that create it into a document and email it to the person. So lots of like different ways that you could use this beyond getting like really into like the weeds of building apps. That's a little extreme, but like that make tool make.com is really easy to use, and it's just like dragging and dropping things, and it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, so like what's your end goal? Because here's the thing. I knew where you were going when you made your tool to write websites. That was making your services faster. It was making it easier for you to write, to create their websites and make sure that they had decent copy. And then you put that for sale so that other people could buy it and use it. Like I understood that. But like where are you going with these other new tools? Like first of all, do you have any for sale or inside? I don't even know if you sell them there, but like the GPT store or whatever it's called. Do you have any in there?
I don't have any in the GPT store because the like pay structure is so unclear that I'm like, I'd rather market it myself and sell it myself. I have them mostly included within courses and programs that I offer. So my website writer AI is available on its own or with a template or with Brand Basecamp. And then I have the marketing field guide. It's a $9 offer. You can get that for $9. Build your and for like on my end, someone's paying me $9 to get one field guide. They're not getting access to that tool all the time. They're filling out their form, and then it's providing them with the field guide and a mood board, which is really cool too. I love those AI mood boards. I think they're so fun to give you ideas of like colors and fonts and stuff. But then the repurposing bot is in my blogging program. Like they're just all kind of built in that way. This one that I'm building for Kit, it's just a one-off. I'm not going to do this again.
Okay.
But
I wondered. I mean, because again, I can understand the other ones. It is tools as part of the things that you are already selling in your business, whether it's a service or a course program or a digital product. But I was like, she's over here making this Kit thing. Like, is she going to like sell that? And if so, what else is she going to start selling?
Mostly, I told my mom yesterday, it's like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I wanted it for myself. And
when I want it.
Yeah.
I also want it. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that other people will want it as well. And like my goal now, like it's definitely evolved. It's pulling in your emails, it's pulling in your sequences, and it's pulling in your subscribers. So hopefully it's working at some point. And I liked the idea of being able to put it in the Kit marketplace and have people find it there. So it's something that I can build, but I don't really necessarily have to market.
Yes. Okay. Let's take one step back. So you also are starting a new, do I call it a membership? A subscription? What is it called?
I'm going with membership, I think. I've done a lot of back and forth on this, but it's a monthly, going to be called something Learning Lab. I'm working on the name still, but it is an offer where you pay once a month and you get access to like a group coaching call, Q&A kind of call. You get a prompt, like an email with a prompt, what's working in AI now, and you get a strategy session every month teaching you something AI related, how to use AI to make your business better, make your life in your business better.
I mean, and is it geared towards, because, I'm always like photographers, but that's not your intention. So who's it geared for? Just all business owners, all small business owners?
Yeah. It's geared towards those solopreneurs or people who have maybe a small team. So people who maybe would love to hire out some tasks, but don't have the budget or the time to train somebody and just need something like quick. There are so many ways that I use AI. We've talked about it a lot here, all of the different ways that I use it. And I see people only using it to write their captions. And it's like, no, but you could do so much more and save yourself so much. Like I use it to code websites. I use it to be my coach. I use it to help me again see like things from different perspectives or get those brain dumps out and organize tasks. There's just so many ways that you can use it that I want other business owners to experience that as well.
Yeah. I mean, today's use where I was going back and forth from the strategy call so I can finish this setup. I was like, I don't know why I haven't thought of this before. Like I am like writing notes. I think I am done writing notes. My first thing that I'm going to do now is take the strategy call And I will say, guys, there are already tools that exist that you could probably get to do what you want. But the value in creating your own tools and your own GPTs is that it's giving you the output that you want without the back and forth. Because what I've described earlier is exactly what Fathom does. Like, it gives you your action items, it gives you, but the problem is it's not giving it to me in a format that I can use. Like, one of the things that I said, because on my strategy calls, I am literally iterating emails like as copy, and they're really good when I say them out loud, but then I have to go and actually write them. So the one of the prompts is, if I said I was going to write any emails and I iterated the copy, please list those along with the copy that goes in it. I mean, that is just taking what I've already said and putting it in a format to where I'm like, okay, well, now I just have to add a little bit here and that email is done. And it's the same thing of going back and forth. Like, I never would have thought to ask the AI, okay, I know that we talked about this and I can't remember what the final decision was. Can you tell me what the final decision was and tell me exactly what I said would go in it? And it did. And it was so much easier than me trying to go through a 4-hour strategy call in order to find the answers.
Yeah. And like you used to be able to just like search the transcript and find like the time and then you could listen to it, but it still was taking you so much more
Mm-hmm.
time that now you can spend actually finishing the service than sitting
Yeah.
there and researching more and more and more. But yeah, those custom tools, like being able to pull your knowledge into something and create create an output from it is like priceless.
It is priceless. I mean, what used to be that thing where it's priceless and for everything else there's MasterCard? I can't
Oh yeah.
remember. I mean, you and I are both old enough to remember those ads, but I mean, I do feel like that is totally describing AI right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and like it's not just for educators. It's not just for like people that are teaching or want to build tools for students. You can use it in your business in so many different ways. As like if you're a photographer, we kind of touched on this before we got on the call, like a wedding photographer could build a tool that helps build timelines. So if you like have a certain way you like to do things, you could ask your clients to fill out a form that gives a set questions and then it would populate your timeline. I know wedding
Mm-hmm.
photographers spend a lot of time on that. Brand photographers, being able to like give it details about a brand and help you brainstorm different shot ideas, things like that. Like there's just so much that you can do.
Yeah. Well, Kate, this was amazing. I feel like if we scheduled a chat about this next quarter, we would have completely new things to talk about. You and I would have probably each built 3 or 4 tools that are new. But do you have any closing thoughts on AI and how can people join your list to get the new AI prompt freebie?
Yeah. So the freebie is at dearkatebrandstrategy.com/AI weekly, all one word. It's 5 prompts that I use every week in my business. You'll get my prompt for subject lines and preview text in there. So you can take that prompt and build your own GPT. You'll get one that helps you look at copy, images, whatever from different perspectives. You'll get one that helps you organize your brain dumps. There's 5 of them there, and I can never remember all of them. But they're good prompts and they're like beefy. They're beyond that, just like write this for me kind of thing. And like you were saying, we could have this conversation again and it would be totally different. And that's why the offer that I'm working on, that AI offer, is a subscription membership style, because you're going to need something new next month. You can't learn it all. And I want to break it down into bite-sized things for you so that you can take action on using these tools and get them working for you.
I mean, you sent me the prompts and I was in Dallas, so I haven't had a chance to play with them. But that organize your brain dump, I'm immediately going to go try that one because one of the things I created that content hub in Airtable was so that all the ideas could go in one place. But I'm still really scared to go through my notes app for everywhere that I used to dump before. I think I'm going to go and pull that in and stick it in and see what pops out of, 2 years of like, this is what I should think about. This is a good idea for an email. All the things that I've put in my notes that I don't actually ever do anything with.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I love Airtable so much, because I can download all of my content into a CSV and then put that CSV in my AI tool. And that, like,
Mm-hmm.
we talked a lot about ChatGPT, like you said, but because the reason we talk about ChatGPT so much is because you can build those custom GPTs.
Yep.
I love Claude almost as much. and now it has access to the internet too. It didn't used to. So that is an awesome tool as well. And with Claude, what I use is called projects. So if you're not trying to like share your tool with somebody else, you just would use a project in Claude. You can also use projects in ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically like creating a set of threads that all have the same knowledge base.
Yes. I have been really using projects.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it a little cumbersome to like organize all of the different chat. And one thing that I'm going to say, listening audience, in case you find yourself creating a project and you're like, oh, when I had that conversation like a month ago, I really wish it was in this project. You can click the 3 buttons and move it to a project. Just in case you don't know that, those of you that are listening, I have started doing that with like all of the things that I created before there were projects, but that are now related to things that I have projects. So like I have a project that's all related to my course. I have a project that's related to every project that I have in the system shop. I have a project that's related to all of my podcast episodes. Like I like everything to be together because then it knows all of the things inside that project and you don't end up getting repeat stuff from it, because that is a problem if you're doing individual conversations.
Yeah, that is definitely. I used projects. So projects came out in Claude before they did in ChatGPT, and I used it to do my blogging mini course because I had content. I had all of this content, and I basically just needed to reformat it into a course altogether, and that was huge. That helped me so much and made it go a lot faster.
Okay, so what you're saying is the email course, the mini course that I just ideated in ChatGPT, I should take all of that and stick it in Claude and see if it does something different. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. Well, and take like go look for everything you've ever talked about email.
Emails.
And put it in there, and it will help you analyze what you've talked about in the past and find those key messaging points that you want to make sure you don't miss.
Okay, I now have homework. Kate, thanks for coming back on the podcast. We got to figure out another conversation that we can have next quarter. It might not be AI, guys. We'll figure out something else, but Kate will be back soon.
Well, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yes, ma'am. All right, everyone. That's it for this episode. See you next time.